What's up everybody, Cody Woods here, and today we are going to be installing a JD Jet kit in this 2019 DRZ400 Supermoto. In addition to that, we are also going to install a twin air filter, do the 3x3 mod, and also install the MRD Z Pro shorty exhaust pipe. To get this started, you're just going to take all of the plastic off because we're going to have to take the fuel tank off and the seat off. So it's just a bunch of 8mm bolts. I'm going to go ahead and loosen them with my wrench just to make it easy. I'm just going to get everything out of my way. Alright. Actually, you know what? I might just leave this like that. Same situation on this side. This panel comes off a little bit differently. But I'll show you the difference here in a moment. Alright, now this side panel on the right side is a little bit different because there's this little plastic hook. So you end up having to slide it forward. You can see this little, it's not in the best shape. Oh, it's almost popped out. Okay, you can see this little grommet here. There's a metal rod. I don't know if we can see it right here. That slides onto, so you just end up poking it. And we'll go ahead and finish taking off the side plate here. Oh yeah. Okay, now we've got that taken care of, we can go ahead and pop the seat off. And we're gonna have to get a 10mm wrench. This little strap has to be removed. Now once we've done that, the seat should just slide backwards towards me and off. At this point we can go ahead and begin taking the fuel tank off. First thing we're going to do though is take the fuel line off, and I wish I had a catch container but I don't. So we just have one of these spring clips that hold tension around your hose. Once that's loose, we can probably give her a couple of quick twists and whatnot. Here, let me put the pliers on them so we can just break it loose here. Yep. Alright, that came right off. Yep, there's the fuel. Okay, so there's a lot more fuel in the carburetor than I thought was going to leak out. Soak some of that up. Let's work on the 10mm bolts on top of the tank here. Not tight at all, like 15 foot-pounds maybe. So I think I can just pull the fuel tank. Now I'm gonna go put this somewhere safe. At this point, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pop the air filter out. So that happens really easily. And that just comes right out. See where the snorkel in the top just lets all the air in. So we're gonna open up that hole so that we can draw air in through a much less restrictive hole, for lack of better terms. All right, at this point I'm gonna take this guy loose. So I have a little extra room here. You just go ahead and disconnect that. All right, there we go. Had to get a little better grip on it. Okay, so now we can pull this through the frame, I believe. Let's go ahead and take the top of the subframe loose so that we can get the added space we're looking for. And I think that's going to end up being, yes, 12mm. Well, those are on there pretty good. All right. So there's that. Okay, so I've got the bolt that holds the top of the subframe to the frame of the bike, but I've got that loose. But I'm going to make a little jump here and take the throttle cables loose. You can see how they're situated in there. So I'm just going to use my 10mm wrench and take these nuts up as high as I can and slide those off. I've also already loosened the carburetors held in there, held to the Airbox boots with some metal bands and just a Phillips screw. And I've already taken those loose. So once we get this done, we should be good to go and should be able to remove the carburetor. I didn't have to adjust the bottom nut at all. I was just able to screw the nut on top up all the way and was able to finagle them off of the mount. Oh yeah. So there's one. You can twist the throttle a little bit and get yourself a little bit more room for this back one.
Sup, man? Dirty. Scrubbed everything. Yeah.
What are you
That's
saying?
all. We're gonna edit that out, right?
Alright, I was able to get the other cable loose. You can see here. So now that that is all done, the carburetor should be ready to just pull out of there. Now I haven't done anything else like to move the subframe back because I think you're gonna have to take the exhaust off to do it, which I'm gonna do anyway because we got an MRD here. But before we do that, I want to try to get the carburetor out without removing like anything else, because I mean, I put a JD jet kit in a YZ250F back in the day, and I didn't have to do anything like that. But it was 2001, and this was only a few years ago, so I didn't exactly care about that machine the same way I care about this one. I've already loosened up the bands, so the carburetor is loose now. And so the only thing really keeping me in here is this boot. Like if I can get that scrunched enough and like maybe pull and twist enough, this carburetor should come right out. Okay, so this will actually come right out if we remove this rectifier. So it's just two 10mm bolts. Yeah, I think we're gonna have plenty of room here. Let me just move this out of our way. And the carburetor has already fallen. And there we have it. Just have to remove this hose now. So yeah, you don't have to. I guess we didn't actually have to take this out. All right, I'm gonna take this loose, and I gotta get another tool, but this is self-explanatory, right? We got the carb off. Continuing on, I guess I'll just start working on the Airbox mod. And so since I like to get everything out of my way, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this strap entirely. There's a spacer on the bottom of this too. And then we're just gonna remove this piece here. This is all 10mm. Okay, so this piece just holds on this, I'm not sure what this is at the moment. It's some sort of electronics module. It just sits on top of the Airbox, so we'll move that out of the way. There we go. Okay, so now at this point you can see that the snorkel will need removed. I'm just going to push it into the hole here and pull it out like that. I'm going to loosen this guy up because it's currently in my way. There we go. Likewise here, I'm going to rotate that out of my way. And so now you can get a pretty good idea of what this is going to look like. So we're just going to cut this, a big square. Alright, so I've got things marked up here. I ended up measuring about, it's actually from here to here is about 3.5 inches, and then 3 inches this way. And I only did that just for kind of symmetry, because this part of this oval shape where the old snorkel was is actually quite far towards this subframe, this side of the subframe. So yeah, that's all I did. It's going to be a little bit bigger than 3x3, but it should work just fine. This actually works really well. So this is how I've been handling it, and I've got part of it cut already. Let me just make a cut right here, just to show you. So you can actually heat this. Just be easy with a heat gun. You got a lot of heat here. Get and just start cutting. It cuts very nicely. Alright, so I'm just going to keep going around this like this, and I'll show you guys when I get it done. Okay, so I've got my hole roughed out with my utility knife, and now I'm just going to take some files and whatnot and straighten it up. I don't think that needs any further explanation. Alright, there it is. It's not the prettiest thing I've ever done, but I decided to stop working on it. It was straight enough, since this is a completely function over form modification. You can't see it from the outside. That decided it didn't need to be perfect. So, all right, here we are. Got the carburetor off. Here are the instructions that are provided in the carburetor kit. So, part of the instructions, they actually say you don't have to take the carb off at all to put this kit in. But I mean, I can't imagine not doing it. Pick your poison, I guess. So, the first part of the instructions to install this. The JD Jet kit say to remove the top of the carburetor. I wish I had a vise. Damn it. Alright, I had to take a little break there. So, all of the screws are really freaking tight on these carburetors. If you have a vise, you're probably going to be fine. I went to my brother's place and loosened the screws on the bottom, but didn't realize that the bigger screws on top are going to be just as big a pain to get loose. So I've gnarled this one up pretty good, and I managed to get this one loose after learning some things. It seemed like I was able to get them loose pretty easily by just using one of these pieces for a drill, just a regular drill, and then putting it in a socket, getting a little bit of extra leverage. Once you get them loose, we can take the top of the carburetor off per the instructions, so we can access the diaphragm and the needle. It should have a little bit of spring tension on it. So there we go. Now there's going to be a This is the O-ring you're not supposed to lose. So luckily I haven't lost that yet. Alright, I think we just need a regular pair of pliers. Okay, should be able to reach right down in there and grab that. Well, I've pulled that off like you're supposed to, but the spring came out of the bottom and it's underneath my toolbox right now. Alright, so there's the spring. Put that back on. And put that over here. Okay, then we can take the needle out. And there's an O-ring, not an O-ring, but like a metal. Yeah, there we go. Little washer still inside. So there's a this assembly, and this washer went on the bottom of it all. Okay, so per the instructions from the JD Jet kit, I'm going to run a Airbox mod and an open exhaust pipe, a full exhaust pipe. So I'm going to be doing, and I'm also below 4,000 feet. I'm at about 500. So I'm going to run the 25 pilot, the blue needle, clip position 4, and a main jet. So you run the 160 main jet with a slip-on exhaust. If you have a full exhaust, you run the 170 main jet. And I am going to run a full exhaust. So here's my blue top needle. Here's the red, just for comparison. And it looks like, so you count needle clip position from this side of the needle to the bottom. So 1, 2, 3 is where we're at, but we need to be on position 4, so I got to remove this clip and push it down one position. There's no easy way to do this. Okay. Got the clip off. Let's see if we can get it on position 4. Just about got her. And now we can go ahead and transfer the contents of the other needle onto the blue needle. So now our new needle is populated. Can go ahead and drop that in. And now we can push this plastic part back onto the top. So my new needle is installed. Alright, seems to be working. And now I can put that back into the top of the carburetor. You can look down into this side, and you can guide the needle into the proper position and drop in just like that. Alright, at this time we're going to put the top of the cap back on, and I mean it just goes on exactly the same way it came off. Got the big long spring that you stick in. The part came out of. We're going to check to make sure our O-ring is still there, and it is. I'm going to reinstall our screws. So we've got our needle in there, and now we just need to work in the float bowl. I kind of hate Phillips screws. So here's the main jet, and the pilot is down here, right next to it. Then your fuel screw is going to be underneath here, and we're going to have to drill that out. But we'll get to that step in a second. Let's go ahead and swap our jets out. Let's pop the main jet out here. Oh, little slip. That's all she is. Okay, so what was the OEM? The OEM was a 150. Okay, so here I have the 170 main jet. I'm going to go ahead and thread that in. Snug down. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and swap the pilot jet. There's it. Let me go ahead and double check this. It does say 25 on it. These are just, I think they're brass, so you don't have to get crazy with them. Okay, so that does it. Got our 170 main jet and our 25 pilot jet screwed in, and now we should be able to put the bottom cap back on and button it up. Actually, I'm a bit ahead of myself here. They gave us fasteners. Since I do like these fasteners better, I'm going to go ahead and use them. And one of them is longer than the rest. And it goes to this hole that also is used to hold the idle adjust onto the bottom of the carburetor. That is much better. I'm really happy that they gave us these fasteners in the kit. I mean, it's beautiful. Okay, so the only thing we have left to do is to adjust our mixture fuel screw. Carefully turn the screw clockwise until lightly seated, then turn it back out 2.5 turns. So in order to turn it at all, we got to get this lug out, and in order to get the lug out, we drill this guy out with a 1/8 to 3/16 somewhere in there drill bit, and we just thread a sheet metal screw into it, and we're able to wiggle the lug out. For this step, you can see that I have put duct tape over the holes of the carburetor because I just do not want any metal shavings to end up in the carb itself. So now I decided I was going to split the difference here. I've got a way in between the two sizes, and I got a 7/64 because I'm indecisive like that. Probably be better off with the 1/8. There's a lot of material here. Okay. As it turns out, I've got some smaller sacrificial screws available, so I'm going to go ahead and try to thread this one in there and see what happens. Seems like I've got it in there a little bit. Now we should be able to just grab the top of the screw and pull the lug out. There we go. So, whoops, that's out. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the shavings, brass shavings out of the carburetor. Alright, now that we've got the brass lug out of the bottom, I went ahead and shot some brake clean around here just to get all the shavings and whatnot away from the work area. And so we've exposed the fuel screw, and at this point we can go ahead and thread it in until it's lightly seated. And so I've found that point here. I'm going to go ahead and back it out 1 turn, 2 turns, and then half a turn. And that should do it. So now we're out 2.5 turns on the fuel screw, and this should be perfect. Alright guys, I've got the carburetor back together, and I've got all the bolts properly torqued. And we're going to try to squeeze this thing back in here. Put a little bit of white duct tape over this frame. I found I kind of nicked the frame a little bit back here, just a real small spot, and it is a brand new bike, so I'm going to try to prevent as much of that kind of silly damage as possible here. So we need to reattach this hose. And I think that if I just get this started, I'm not sure if I'm going to get this to work or not, but it looks like I'm making better progress if I just... Okay, I'm going to go about this a little bit differently. I'm going to go ahead and take the exhaust loose so that I can pivot the subframe. 6mm hex key that you need for the inside bolt. Given us the extra space that you can see here. We've acquired a gap, and that has allowed this boot here to be further back so that maybe we'll struggle a little bit less. Okay, so from here, let's go at this again. All right. Okay, I think a little bit more wiggling here. We're getting there. Give this a tug again. That seems to work really well. Okay. Got the front of the carb seated. I'm gonna go ahead and root this. Get it on its way. I can already say, just go ahead and take your exhaust loose and move the subframe like this. This is a lot easier. I'm gonna go ahead and take this tape off, so I'm not fighting a ton of residue later. Ooh. Okay, so that I'm sure helped save my paint. Like I said, I did nick it just a little bit, removing the carb. I'm gonna go ahead and thread this thing back on. Gosh, we're getting close now. Alright, so I'm going to get up again and see if I can get that throttle position sensor in the correct place. Alright, so I skipped a couple of small steps here. I already got my subframe tightened back down, and I've already got the carb, in there and tight. Just the little stuff that doesn't make anything, that doesn't mean anything to this video. So now I'm going to work on getting the throttle cables back in, and I think this should go pretty easy. And she is in there. I don't know how well that was displayed. The lighting isn't very good, all that stuff. Doing the best I can in my shed. Alright, same thing goes for this other one, although it came out really easy. Let me put this back up here. Yep. Alright, no problems. Okay, I think I've got those back on about where they were. I can go ahead and tighten them down. Probably got just a shade more play that I need. So I will, while I'm here, I'll just loosen this up a little bit, try to rough it in, Alright, you can see that I do have throttle play, so that should be just fine. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten those down with a 10mm wrench. Alright, well, we're already this far into it, so let's go ahead and remove the rest of the exhaust here. It looks like I just have two 4mm bolts that hold on the heat shield here, and then there's another 6mm, they're hex keys, that holds on the, there's an exhaust band that holds the muffler onto the head pipe. And I've already taken the other fasteners loose. Okay, and then we can swap over to our 6mm hex key and remove, or at least loosen this clamp here. Oh, all right. Give it up, come on. Alright guys, my GoPro battery died, and so I struggled with the exhaust for a little bit more, the tailpipe, and was able to wiggle it out of the back, no problem. Before I swapped batteries, I went ahead and took this side fairing off, and I took, there's a couple of 10mm bolts that go into the radiator right here. Gotta pop the shroud off too, but it literally just pops out. No fasteners hold that on. But once you do that, that actually makes it really easy to access this bolt. So this bolt right here, with just a regular extension on a ratchet from beneath the radiator this way, because you can move the radiator around then. So that was pretty awesome. I've already popped that one loose. I gotta go and pop the other one loose on the other side. I'm using 1/4" drive stuff, so there ends up being a lot of torsion put into this long extension, and I can feel it twist, you know. I hope I don't break it. Yeah, so you build that torsion up, and then everything just breaks at once. Okay, now this should just come right off. Just like that. Alright guys, what's up? It's evening number 3 that I'm working on this thing, and I've gotten a little bit of a haircut since yesterday. Hopefully we're going to get this thing together tonight. We're going to start by putting the new exhaust pipe on. Check this out. This is the OEM header pipe. And this is the MRD header pipe. Check out that. This guy's going to flow some gas for sure. I mean, completely. That was weird. Let's put this thing on. So I actually think I want to try and hang the muffler first. Oh, the mosquitoes. They're so bad for October. It's October 1 today. 2019. That wasn't it, was it? Oh, damn, I just hit my head on the foot peg. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that on there loose. Let me get the header pipe, and we'll move to the other side of the bike. I'm going to go around to see how this is aligning. I think it's going to stay there just fine. I'm just going to try to get it to slide up here. Oh yeah, golly. Honestly, that shouldn't be that easy. I don't know if we can see this or not, but got the radiator bolts going back in. And then, I mean, this is really it. These are 10mm. Yes, 10mm bolts. Yeah, once these are in, I can put the shroud back on. And honestly, that's really it. Okay, so here, let me show you how this goes in. This is also how it came out. So, you gotta get your junk out of the way. Articulate this part in strange ways until it slides in for you. Just like that. Alright, I've got the twin air filter oiled up. I just went ahead and installed it. You can see it. You can see it in there. Use the no-toil system on it. Got my oil here and cleaner and stuff. So all of the plastic's gonna go right back on the way it came off, and I don't think there's really any need to explain any of it if you like have any concerns, just go back to the front of the video and see how it came off and whatnot. Should be just fine. So okay, I just finished putting it back together, and I guess we're gonna give her a test fire and see. I don't know what to do with all my spare parts now. License plates rattling. It does seem to leak air around that joint, but not bad. Go ahead and switch this to the on position. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps. Catch you in the next video.